Are you looking for better shooting experience? How about a facility where you can shoot all of your firearms in the same day, where you can move and shoot steel, draw from the holster, and practice your rifle work out to 600 yards? Shoot a very challenging sporting clays course or a round of trap or skeet. You can do all that and much more at the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Hi, I'm David Lombardo, president of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you love the outdoors, you'll want to know all about Northern Illinois' largest outdoor shooting facility, the Aurora Sportsman's Club. If you're a novice looking for a basic course, an experienced shooter looking for an advanced course, or perhaps you want to participate in your favorite shooting event, or just spend an enjoyable day with the family, the Aurora Sportsman's Club is the only shooting facility in the region that offers all that and more. Interested? Then you won't want to miss the next orientation and tour of the Aurora Sportsman's Club. Call, email, or visit our website today to find out how you can become part of a better shooting experience at the Aurora Sportsman's Club in Waterman, Illinois.
He is the human Molotov cocktail that they can legally throw into the system that stole their lives from them.
So we're going to create a new government that serves you, your family, and your country. It's
time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues, here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
Welcome to On Target Radio. Tonight, David's rant of the week is Kids Playing Adult, with David and Gretchen talking about the March for Our Lives rally. Then, a Parkland student wasn't allowed to speak at the weekend rally. Can you guess why? And the Frankfurt Patch spews fake news. Then, hypocritical Parkland students are upset their rights are being violated. Jimmy Fallon and Lady Gaga helped send busloads of protesters to the gun control march, and you won't believe what Citigroup has done to upset business partners. All that and more on tonight's On Target Radio. So give us a call at 815-205-1584. That's 815-205-1584. Or go to Facebook, like our page, On Target Radio, and ask a question or make a comment there.
And now, from the seething cauldron of personal opinion, it's time for David's Rant of the Week.
Is it spring break? Saturday's National Kid Fest, sponsored and paid for by Michael Bloomberg, gave the children an opportunity to pretend to be adults, and the liberal media fawned all over the little darlings. This month, they're firearm experts. Next month, they'll probably be rioting on the Harvard campus because the institution won't let them in based on their total blow-off of high school. Truly, I have nothing against law-abiding protesters, and what happened in Florida and at far too many other schools is beyond tragic. But let's be realistic. How mature are these snowflakes if they're eating Tide Pods last month? What exactly does the press consider to be their basis for being gun and constitutional law experts? If they wanted to have a rally where they talked about their real-time encounter with death, I'd say, sure, why not? That's something they could speak about with some authority. But when 16-year-olds start dictating public policy, I get a bit uneasy. Let's face it. There are the same kids you have to remind to change their underwear. And you want them dictating what is and isn't relevant in the Constitution? Admittedly.
He the kids human Molotov cocktail that they can
That's fine. It's not a problem.
Into the system that stole their lives from them.
It was
so we're
an experiment.
going to create a new government that serves you, your family, and your country.
It's time for On Target Radio, Chicagoland's only radio show dedicated to the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech. Now, debating, debunking, and discussing today's hot issues, here are your hosts, David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz.
You know, if you're going to do it, you might as well do it, right?
And now, from the seething
do we get
cauldron of personal
King's
opinion,
X?
Yeah, we're not doing that video again, because that just caused trouble.
I guess it was a good idea, I thought.
It worked in the test before the show.
Is it spring break yet? Saturday's National Kid Fest, sponsored and paid for by Michael Bloomberg, gave the children an opportunity to pretend to be adults, and the liberal media fawned all over the little darlings. This month, they're firearm experts. Next month, they'll probably be rioting on the Harvard campus because the institution won't let them in based on their total blow-off of high school. Truly, I have nothing against law-abiding protesters, and what happened in Florida and at far too many other schools is beyond tragic, but let's be realistic. How mature are these snowflakes if they're eating Tide Pods last month? What exactly does the press consider to be their basis for being gun and constitutional law experts? If they wanted to have a rally where they talked about their real-time encounter with death, I'd say, sure, why not? That's something they could speak about with some authority. But when 16-year-olds start dictating public policy, I get a bit uneasy. Let's face it, these are the same kids you have to remind to change their underwear, and you want them dictating what is and isn't relevant in the Constitution. Admittedly, the kids turned out in droves, hundreds of thousands of them across the country, according to some news sources. The largest March for Our Lives rally turnout was in Washington, D.C., where they chanted, "Vote them out," referring to pro-Second Amendment legislators. "Stand for us or beware. The voters are coming," Cameron Caskey, a Parkland, Florida survivor, shouted from the stage in front of the Capitol. Really, the voters are coming. When? You're in high school. There were protests coordinated in Boston, Philadelphia, New York, Chicago, Dallas, Fort Worth, Los Angeles, San Diego, San Francisco, London, Rome, and Paris, to name a few. The theme was the same, calling for a ban on the sale of assault rifles and large-capacity magazines and the extension of background checks for all gun purchases. Since none of this applies to London, Rome, or Paris, I believe the London event called for bans on traditional English breakfast, banning thin-crust pizza in Rome and California wines in Paris. David Hogg, probably the most recognizable Stoneman Douglas High School survivor, also attended the D.C. rally. Hogg shouted to pro-Second Amendment legislators, "Get your resumes ready." Hogg is without question the biggest poser of them all. The son of a retired FBI agent, he has been well schooled in the art of duplicity. Like every other gun control nutcase, he starts his sentence with, "I fully support the Second Amendment." But Hogg espouses the need for common sense gun control like Australia. Well, adults know what that really means. It was Dianne Feinstein's "Turn 'em all in, Mr. and Mrs. America" wet dream for real. In 1 week, Australians handed over the overwhelming majority of firearms in the country. With more than a touch of irony, totally lost on Hogg, I would add, he complained that his school has implemented a clear plastic backpack rule. The purpose is to let faculty and staff see what a student is bringing into the school. Okay, that makes sense. Well, not to Hogg, who went off on a diatribe about it infringes on his First Amendment rights. Yeah, you heard that right. In addition to being both a firearm and social behavior expert, he is also a constitutional scholar. He can pick and choose which part of the Constitution is acceptable and which isn't. In Chicago, Senator Dick Durbin commended the students, saying, "I am not giving them a message. They are giving us a message." Durbin is a mindless twat with a legislative record that may very well have been dictated to him by high school kids. While Durbin was fawning over a bunch of kids downtown, we were attending a rally in Frankfurt. It was a big yawn. Been there, done that. The only thing missing was the scent of patchouli and tie-dyed T-shirts with pictures of a marijuana plant, Che Guevara, or Janis Joplin. About 200 people attended, including roughly 30 pro-Second Amendment counter-protesters. I swear it was deja vu all over again. I was having flashbacks to the 1960s. They had a band play 4 or 5 songs at the beginning, and to be fair, they were pretty good. The vocalist in particular, though she was frequently drowned out by the band. I think the guitar players borrowed Nigel Tufnell's amp and cranked it up to 11. To be fair, Much of what these local kids had to say is hard to refute. Who doesn't want to protect students? Who doesn't believe that being shot at, let alone being shot, will change your life forever? But then they go off into Bloomberg's weeds. Over 1.5 million children have been killed in the U.S. by gunfire, one young speaker said. Click went a switch in my head, turning off the rest of the speech. Everyone is entitled to their own opinion, but not to their own facts. The real question is how long we will let children dictate national public policy. I'm guessing not much longer. Spring break is just around the corner, and there's nothing so sacred as to prevent students from turning into feral beasts roaming the Florida shoreline in search of sex, alcohol, and primo weed. Spring break, the great pacifier. And that, Gretchen, is my rant for the week. That's my rant in 1/4 for the week.
Yes. Had a little redo in there.
Is the clock, did it still tick from the beginning or what?
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there.
I think perhaps in the future, if I recommend playing something during a rant, we should just ignore me.
I should just fix it and we can do it.
Well, you know, what can I say? Interesting thing that
we should have stripped the audio out of the video first, is what we probably should have done.
Well, I actually made the audio very faint, so it would just play light in the background, but the board is a force multiplier. As I showed you just before I came down, I got a feed. Off the feed, I got a thing where a guy named Kyle Kashov, who went to Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School, was not invited to speak at the rally that they held in Washington. Mm-hmm. I wonder why that is.
I have an answer. It's because he's pro Second Amendment.
Oh, then there's that, isn't there? Yes.
And he said there's actually a number of other students who feel the same way that he does, and they're all being suppressed.
This freedom of speech thing is touchy. You know, it's...
Well, yeah, we were talking about this before the show. When you're in a school or when you work for an employer, you don't really have freedom of speech.
That's true.
You know, you have to give that up in order to, be in those places.
People throw that First Amendment freedom of speech around with literally no understanding of what it means.
Mike Kierlieber says, great rant. I must say that David Hogg has boosted gun sales. Saw lines 3 deep at Rural King.
Okay. So anyway, we're going to talk a little bit more about that, and then we'll move on to other things when we come back. But I like the quote from him. He says, I find it ironic that after all this, so many government failures, we want to trust the government even more. I can get that. We'll be back with that and more when we return with more on Target Radio.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
Do you dread writing? Is it challenging to find just the right words to get your point across? Do you put off developing marketing materials because you just don't know where to start? You get one chance to make a first impression, and my editor, Creative Business Services, can help make it a strong, positive one. Hi, this is Gretchen Fritz, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to tell you about My Editor, a business I started to help you overcome those concerns. What you're experiencing is very common. My Editor has helped business owners, candidates for political office, and even authors and public speakers. At My Editor Creative Business Services, we can simply edit your existing work or help you develop an entire writing plan of action from initial project design through final copy. We are easy to work with and will help you get your point across in the most effective manner. If words escape you, send me an email at myeditor@mail.com. Use My Editor Creative Business Services and go to print with confidence. That's myeditor@mail.com, or find us on Facebook.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
I have to say, as someone who's been a journalist for better part of 30 years, seen a lot of publications in my time, written for a lot of publications in my time, I wouldn't really line my bird cage with a patch. I just
that would be cruel for the bird.
It would be. It's amazing how
it would be.
They just don't get it right. I mean, they just really don't. The writers are not very good. This guy, Joe Vince, who I'm always suspicious of people with two first names. I just am, Joe Vince wrote an article about the Frankfurt rally where we were yesterday.
Where we were, yes.
And
all three of us.
And wrote this puppy up, and he says a counter-protest had been planned Saturday, according to Frankfurt police and march organizers, but expect that he wrote that
for a brief
for a brief bit of horn honking from a circling car, no counter-protesters were seen near Brighter Green or along the march route. There were 30 of us in the middle of the crowd.
Yeah.
It literally in the middle of all the people.
We had a Gadsden flag, multiple American flags, an American Legion banner.
We're all wearing NRA hats.
We're all wearing either iGold hats or NRA hats. I mean, we weren't super maybe distinguishable if you didn't know what you were looking for. Maybe
we were quiet.
Maybe you could miss it, but yeah, we were respectful. We're just showed up to counter protest. But yeah, right. I mean, there was a pretty good chunk of us.
At one point, I felt, I could understand, I felt a little compulsive need, like burn a police car, break some windows, steal a TV set.
I thought you were going to say light up a doobie.
Or that. But, I just was drawn to it. But there were no TV sets to be stolen, and that was sort of a bummer.
There's no electronic stores in downtown Frankfurt.
I don't know, how do you protest and not burn stuff up and stuff,
Yeah, I don't know.
But it just, and I actually, two people, as they were leaving, two people stopped, and I don't know if they were specifically saying it to me. They looked at me, but we're all there. But two different people said, thanks for not making a big deal, which I just said, you're welcome.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with that at all. I've said this many times. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. I don't have a problem with that. I have a problem when they use their own facts, like that kid who goes, 1.5 million kids have been killed. Come on, give me a break.
Right. And I, what we, and this is what I said when it was over and we said the Pledge of Allegiance. We believe in the Constitution, which includes the Bill of Rights, which means we want our First Amendment rights, but we also respect others' First Amendment rights.
Absolutely.
That's what it's about. I mean, we all have the right to assemble. We all have the right to free practice of religion, free association. These are the things that we believe in. And if we don't respect others' right to do the same thing,
we're hypocrites.
Right, exactly. We're no better than communists or fascists or all these things that they accuse us of being. But when it was over, I was trying to think of because we were being so respectful, I was trying to think of some way we could draw attention to ourselves.
I thought that was a clever idea.
And
well, not clever. I thought it was a good
when
idea.
I first started talking to the people around me and saying I wanted to do this, they were looking at me like, what does that have to do with anything? But I made it work.
You did. No, you did.
I said very loudly, these socialists don't believe in the Constitution and they don't respect our flag. Let's say the Pledge of Allegiance because we're patriots and we believe in this flag.
It was cool.
And so then we all said the Pledge of Allegiance.
Cool, yeah. Twice. Well, what's his name?
I told Rick to go
Rick,
I told him to go get his bullhorn while the kids were still talking so that we could do it when it was... but he wanted to stay until they were done. So he was a little late to the party.
Yeah, that's all right. He did it twice. It was good. But,
But yes, let it be known we were there. counter-protested very respectfully.
And they and to be fair, I heard that somebody gave our guys a little grief when they first got there, but by the time we got there,
there were some F words thrown around.
That was long gone, and everyone, I mean, people, were respectful. There wasn't, as there has been in other places, there wasn't any problems.
There were no clashes.
No. I think it was funny. Was it you that said take a picture of that table with the rocks they were going to throw at us?
Oh yeah. They were going to sell rocks to throw at us, right?
They had brochures and stuff. They were holding down with rocks. Well, they picked up all the brochures and put them away. So there's a table of rocks left. And it looked like $5 to throw a rock at a conservative.
Yeah. Just in case things get ugly, we gathered some rocks.
Oh, that's really cute. I got a 9mm Glock. Not there. Not there.
On me.
I didn't have it.
Not on me.
It was cold. I find it interesting that David Hogg, I'm just assuming, I mean,
that's how it's pronounced.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't make it up. That's it. Does what they all do, and that's starting out sentence by saying, I'm not against the Second Amendment, but...
That's our favorite. That's going to take the place of saying on target radio together.
You got to say,
I'm not against the Second Amendment, but
I'm trying to push for common sense gun reform and mental illness reform. Now,
mental illness reform.
Okay, you think you're sick, you're not.
Wrap your mind around that for a minute.
Yeah. Well, actually, they do have mental illness reform. It's called lobotomy. That's, yeah. Bobby, come here. These are the people who are dictating national policy.
Yeah, I put a meme on Facebook where it's The Rock, and he says,
I saw that.
He says, are you guys done eating Tide Pods?
I said, are you still eating Tide Pods?
Are you still eating Tide Pods this week? And the teenager says, no, we're experts on guns this week.
And that look, it's like, huh? Well, I wonder what that's a scene from, because that's like the this scene from the German movie about Hitler, where they've changed the dialogue 100 times. Yeah. But
the most interesting man in the world. He's very popular.
Yeah, that's another one.
And the Kermit the Frog drinking the tea.
There's some just classic ones, but that's none of my business.
That's none of my business.
Then our little cherub, Mr. Hogg, is upset because they want him to have a clear plastic backpack when they go back to school. And he says that's infringement of his First Amendment rights, which of course it's not, but he doesn't understand what those are, so we should use him as a constitutional scholar. He could probably teach with Obama.
I like this one. I don't understand what's so hard to understand about this. We simply want to save lives and democracy.
And you see, there we go.
He seems super concerned about democracy.
These are
super
social justice warriors, just sticking right out.
And then your other favorite social justice warriors. Let me read a list to you: Lady Gaga, Jennifer Lopez, NBA star Carmelo Anthony, Jimmy Fallon, MTV, NAACP, Yara Shahidi, Nick Cannon, Pusha T, Halsey, Chloe and Halle. They all sponsored buses to take young people to Washington, D.C. for the March for Our Lives. And this one is my favorite, though. I started thinking about this statement. So Jimmy Fallon tweeted, "Today is March for Our Lives. I'm partnering with MTV and NAACP to sponsor a bus, one bus full of smart young..." Okay, how much does a bus cost, a charter bus? Like a few $100?
Where was it going? From L.A.? If it's L.A. to Washington.
New York City. Jimmy Fallon's in New York City.
Probably thou.
Okay, so
I would guess.
Those three organizations split up a $1,000 bus. So I was thinking about boycotting Jimmy Fallon, but if he can only afford $333 to sponsor the March for Our Lives, he's got bigger problems.
See, and that's what these people do. They phone it in.
I missed a few. George Clooney, Oprah Winfrey, Jeffrey Katzenberg, and Steven Spielberg each pledged $500,000 to the gun control march. So there's your problem right there.
That doesn't surprise me.
And then Bloomberg above and beyond.
Yeah, those guys have deep pockets.
Above and beyond that.
Clooney's got like villas in Italy and
all
kinds of stuff.
Oh yeah, he's got like God money.
Which That doesn't bother me. I don't have an objection to people making
He earned
money.
it, yeah.
He did. He earned it. And to be honest with you, I think Clooney's a good actor. I think a lot of these people are good at what they do. They should just shut up.
Right. They should just make movies
Yeah.
or do stand-up comedy or whatever it is
And stop doing.
they are good at,
yeah.
and stop interfering in this.
It just ticks me off.
Yep.
Lady Gaga. I don't know about that. This is an interesting little piece. 6 reasons gun control will not solve mass killings. And if you go down this list, I mean, this is stuff we certainly talked about in the past.
I'm sure. Nothing too new.
But the biggest thing is there aren't that many mass killings.
Right.
They always make the headlines, of course, and that's it. I was just about to say naturally, but you know, there's a lot to be said for. You got to ask yourself how much the knowledge that your name is going to be publicized drives some of this stuff. This, you know, loser who nobody knows exists, and now I can get my name in the headlines.
Well, otherwise, I mean, other people who are depressed or have anxiety or whatever the case may be, they just commit suicide. And then no one really, you know, outside of their family and friends.
Bob Schwartz committed suicide today. You don't see that in headlines
right.
much.
I mean, no one really knows about it.
Yeah. But the thing is, and you know, you kind of have to you walk a thin line here, but any mass shooting like that is a horrific thing, but it's not that common. If you look at you just look at the number of firearms in the country, you look at the number of people that own guns in the country, you look at the number of murders in the country, you look at anything, the number of these things is relatively insignificant. Not from a social perspective,
Sure.
It's not insignificant in that case. But to say we're going to ban guns, and the common denominator, and I haven't vetted this, but it was a good source. The common denominator is 25 to 26 mass murders. 25 of those people were on psychotropic drugs, and clearly had issues.
There's a number of things that they have in common. They're often either on, I mean, they're all on mind-altering drugs, either for depression, anxiety, hyperactivity,
ADD,
you know, right, ADHD. You know, they're all on some kind of mind-altering drugs, except for maybe like one.
Yeah.
And a lot of them, no fathers in the home.
Very common.
A lot of them, exposure to violent video games. I mean, these are common threads that we can point to that are, I won't say they're necessarily preventable, but they're things that we could have intervention.
Well, and you know, we've joked about this, and it is kind of funny. I do the Adam Lanza thing, you know, but you look at most of these kids.
Which I think is incredibly poor taste. I don't. You don't seem to be getting that message, but I think it's incredibly poor taste.
It may be, but when have I been known to have good taste? It's something that has escaped me forever. And with the last guy, he had, depending who you talk to, 45 or 25, whatever, 40 or 25 brushes with the law, somewhere in there. And plus the FBI.
Right.
They actually called the FBI and said, you really got to come take this guy's guns.
Right, a couple of alerts to the FBI. Should have been enough.
So let's ban guns.
Right.
That's the logical answer to that. We'll be back with more really being ticked off at stuff that we don't like.
Yeah.
And hopefully with the music that prompts in at the right time and doesn't just arbitrarily come in, when we return with musicless entertainment and more on Target Radio.
Hi, I'm David Lombardo, co-host of On Target Radio, and I'd like to offer you a partnership opportunity. For over 4 years, On Target Radio covered the red meat issues that affect your life, from gun control to freedom of speech on AM 560 The Answer. But a 1-minute commercial was $200, making it tough to find enough sponsors. So last November, we left AM 560 and began podcasting. There's a learning curve to podcasting, and we've worked through the kinks and would now like to make you an offer. You can have a 60-second audio or video commercial for as little as $25 a week. We can also offer fellow conservatives their own radio or video podcast for as little as $100 a week with equipment and technical personnel included. You provide the content and host, plus get 6 free minutes of commercial time you can sell yourself. If you'd like to be an On Target Radio sponsor or explore the possibility of having your own show, call me at 815-741-3474 and let's explore the possibilities together.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life.
This segment is brought to you by the Will County Grassroots Division of the Illinois State Rifle Association. Join like-minded friends supporting your right to keep and bear arms at 7 p.m. on the third Wednesday of the month at the Silver Dollar Restaurant in Elwood, Illinois.
Yes.
I thought you were going to talk about iGold. Oh, well, you want to do this.
We were going to talk about
Yeah.
iGold. I think that our small counter-protest yesterday was, at least for the people who were there, we were talking about it afterwards. I think it was a big wake-up call of how difficult iGold will be if we can't get people to show up.
Oh, yeah.
We really, I'm straight to camera, we really need every single person to come to iGold this year. I know it's a sacrifice, it's time, it's money, it's possibly being cold or wet. It's a huge sacrifice, but it's super important. And in politics, I have often said, sometimes you just have to show up.
It's the last time we had strong iGolds was over concealed carry.
Was before concealed carry.
And the thing that people have to really understand is that was not a negative situation. We were lobbying because we wanted something passed. They weren't trying to hurt us. They were trying to prevent us from doing it, but they weren't trying to take anything away from us. We're now talking about they're emboldened, and if they can, I mean, they have an assault weapons ban. I don't think that'll go anywhere, but they have one. And the way it's defined, it'll take away semi-auto shotguns. It'll take away all kinds of stuff. People do not understand that this year, right here, right now, is probably the worst year we've had in memory.
Right, exactly. It's more imperative than it was before concealed carry. And, yeah, I mean, they have so many bills in the pipeline.
They do.
And, you know, we don't know, even if Rauner vetoes them, we don't know if that will hold up as far as they may be able to go back and override his veto. So, you know, we have to make a statement to I won't even say liberal, I'll say all the anti-gun people in the General Assembly. They need to see that we are not kidding around.
And it's very subtle. Well, maybe it's not so subtle, but it's subtle because if people don't turn out, they're going to go.
See, they don't care.
They don't care. That's exactly what will happen.
Or they're gone. They've either left Illinois, they died, they're not here anymore.
They are going. That's exactly what's going to happen. They are going to say, we can get away with it.
Yes.
And they've got votes because they are in the majority.
Absolutely.
So, you know,
there's no question.
The ISRA's got 5 lobbyists down there. Todd's down there. Vandermeid. I mean, you got all these people down there working hard.
Yeah, I mean, and we've got, our rep is Mark Badnick. We've got Margot. We've got, a number of, Jeannie Ives is still there for the time being.
Yep.
We've got a number of very good conservative reps, but they just don't have the numbers to stand in the way of these things.
It would look really bad if like 100 people show up.
Well, I don't think it would ever be that small. I think last year they had several hundred, and it was kind of sad.
Well, it's when you hark back to what we had, where literally the street was full curb to curb as far as you could see.
I don't know what the
high.
What was it? 3,000, 4,000?
I don't remember. But
I don't remember what the
high. It was very high.
The highest one was.
Yeah, it would be disastrous, and there was there was some question about maybe we just shouldn't have iGold just to, kind of hedge your bets.
Save face.
Yeah. And then everybody goes,
And then all this
"The
stuff
hell with it.
happened.
We're going to have, we're going to do it. We're going to have iGold, and people better turn out, or you don't care. Because, just think about this. None of these bills have anything about reimbursing you for what you have to turn in.
Right.
Bump stocks, magazines, none of those bills contain any provision for either grandfathering, which the assault weapon ban of 96, was it, did. And they have no provision to pay you for your property that you have to surrender.
Right. Well, and I think what I've heard is that they're kind of vague on what it's going to be. If it is surrender, or just prove that they're not in the state anymore. Or
I take that back. I said that too quickly, because what you have to do is divest yourself of the firearm.
Right.
So it either goes out of state or you turn it in. But I do recollect it saying you can't sell it. I think there's something in there that says you can't sell it. Have you looked at that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I did see that.
I think it says you can't sell it.
Even magazines, you can't sell them.
Yeah. Which,
Right.
what does that mean?
Right.
Now they're getting into free commerce too. If I got somebody in Iowa that wants, an AR, how much money you got, dude?
Right. I mean, technically, it's not really legal to sell across state lines, but you could go through an FFL.
You could, sure. Or you could just, go across state lines and.
Right. I mean, if you drive to Iowa and use an FFL in Iowa, I don't see how that's illegal.
I don't think it is.
They can't have, there's nothing they can do about what you do in Iowa. Because if there were, just saying.
Well, you're from Iowa.
My people be from Iowa.
It's wide open, right?
One of our astute viewers said we didn't say when iGold is. iGold is Wednesday, April 25th. It's in Springfield, obviously, Springfield, Illinois. It's about 11:30 in the morning is when it starts at the Prairie Convention Center. There's like a big...
11:30?
I think so, yeah. I think it's at 11:30. It's a big multi-purpose, gymnasium, essentially, for all intents and purposes.
Yeah, it's huge.
And they have a rally there. They tell us what our talking points are. We get our marching orders, literally. and then we go out and we march to the Capitol building.
Now, we're driving, but...
we are.
I just passed this thought along. You can take the train down there, and the train is very comfortable. It's got internet. It's got, if you get business class, which is a little more expensive, it's really comfortable. It's very nice. They got food and a bar, and we're driving. But it'll be nice because...
we said you can take the train. We're driving.
Well, that's it. I mean, I'm going to split. I'm going to split from the team, the crew. I'm not going to split from the crew. I don't know.
That's right. We are on Target Radio.
That's frightening. And this, this whole war about guns is getting really out of hand. So now Citigroup.
Yeah.
And I don't know how really they can enforce this. I don't know how they could actually make this happen. But Citigroup is saying to their business partners that use Citigroup, you can't sell firearms to anyone who's under 21. You can't sell any firearm that doesn't go through a background check. They're barring bump stocks, barring high-capacity magazines. The thing is, I don't know what if I have Citibank, I have a little machine, and you come to me and you want to buy, a 250-round drum, whatever, and I write it up as a lead suspension and dispension unit or whatever the heck. Well, how are they going to know?
Right. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know how they could possibly know.
It's.
I assume they're just going to ban categories of businesses, so every business has like a classification category with the credit card merchant, and I assume they're just going to start with that.
But that would be stupid because people who sell guns, they don't make their money selling guns. They make it selling all the other stuff that's not banned.
Right.
It's it's like a range. A range, any place that's got a range. Ranges aren't what make money. Gun sales don't make money. The markup's not that big.
Ammunition.
It's exactly. It's everything else. So if you eliminate bump stocks and anything magazine over 10 rounds, why would you want to cut off business from people who are selling cleaning oil, solvents? You know what I mean? It doesn't make sense. Of course, none of these people ever do.
But they're anti everything.
Right,
They don't want it. They don't want us to be able to service our guns. They don't want them to sell holsters because they don't want us to carry our guns. I mean, they're anti everything.
And they say, the Citibank statement says, we don't pretend that these answers are perfect, but as we looked at things we thought we could influence, we felt that working with our clients we could make a difference. Well, that's crap.
Yeah.
That's just crap.
It goes back to the I've heard it called the do something crowd.
Exactly. Right.
They're joining the do something crowd. They're like, well, we did something.
Wringing their hands, going, oh my, how are we going to stop the killings? Let's not sell solvent. You know, I mean, get over it. I just, and it's always the gun, always the gun.
Yeah.
And so yesterday at that rally, they read off the names of all these, you know, shooters, and they go, legally purchase the gun, legally purchase the gun, legally purchase the gun. Okay, they're still nutballs, all right? They're still whack jobs. That's the problem. The problem is mental health.
Yes.
And that's a tough nut to crack, to be honest with you.
Well, you know, and it's interesting because the government kind of did this to themselves. They passed HIPAA, and now they have less access to that information than they probably wish they had, you know. And I think that what Congress has already proposed, which is having more checks on NICS, that more ways to ensure that the information that's actually supposed to be on NICS actually is on NICS.
Yeah.
That, I mean, I think that proposal, it sounded like it might actually be effectual. That it might actually be, you know, you could do it, it would help, you know, that it might actually, you know, pass all of those tests as far as, you know, making some difference. I don't, you know, obviously I don't believe that any of the other things that have been, or I shouldn't say any, most of the other things that have been proposed, you know, would really have any. But, I mean, this last, well, it wasn't the last one because the one in Maryland I think was the last one. But the school shooting in Florida really drives home the point that if law enforcement doesn't do their job, if they don't follow the leads that they get, then, you know, bad things happen, and they can't be looking at us going, you know, your guns did this. Well, my guns have never killed anyone.
Can you even believe that sheriff would have the audacity to go, it wasn't 40 times, it was 25 times that we visited him? Is that some sort of a defense? You know, these people are just totally screwed up. And I don't know how those guys that live with themselves, hunkered down behind the vehicle.
Well, the one already quit, so.
Well, we'll be back with more on Target Radio.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. The On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invite you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
In need of a ride to O'Hare or Midway Airport? Well, look no further. The Yellow Checker Cab Company is the cab company for you. With the Yellow Checker Cab Company, you will always be greeted by a friendly face and arrive safely and on time for your flight. Start your trip off right by taking advantage of one of their limos, shuttle vans, cabs, or courtesy cars. And airport trips are not all they specialize in. This 24-hour cab service will pick you up anytime, any day, for any occasion. From bachelorette parties to school dances to just a night out with with friends. Yellow Checker Cab Company has the best rates in town. So sit back, relax, and leave the driving to the professionals. Once you experience their fast and affordable cab service, you'll be a customer for life. When it comes to cab companies, be sure to choose Yellow Checker Cab because you have the right to expect certain things from your cab company. For further information or to book your trip today, call 815-744-2900. That's 815-744-2900.
You're listening to On Target Radio with David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz. Here's David and Gretchen with more interesting conversation on gun control, concealed carry, freedom of speech, and other red meat issues that affect your life. Stand by. Here's Gretchen with your action items for the week.
We need all Second Amendment supporters in the Naperville area to attend a gun control organizing rally hosted by Congressman Bill Foster on Monday, April 2nd at 6:30 p.m. at the Yellow Box Church on Emerson Lane in Naperville. If you plan to attend, and even if you don't, please go to foster.house.gov/gunviolence and fill out the form. There is a chance that if they fear they can't accommodate the large number of responders, they will cancel the event. I put the ISRA alert on Facebook earlier today. Join On Target Radio at Illinois Gun Owners Lobby Day, Wednesday, April 25th in Springfield. Block out the date, put in your day off request, plan your carpool, do whatever you have to do to be in Springfield on April 25th. We need several thousand defenders of the Second Amendment to show up and make their wishes known to the Illinois General Assembly. This is one of the best ways to combat the gun control movement and legislation in Illinois. The following Safer USA classes are at our facility in Waterman. Saturday, April 7th, Long Range Rifle, taught by Ed Janka. Saturday and Sunday, April 7th and 8th, Illinois Concealed Carry 1. This 16-hour class will be taught by David and Gretchen and meets the training requirements for Illinois Concealed Carry as well as Florida and Arizona. Sunday, April 22nd, Introduction to Tactical Carbine, taught by David. To sign up for classes, go to saferusa.com and click on Register.
You know, now's when we should have an RV.
Yeah.
That would be cool.
Like that, we could put a satellite dish on it and everything.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Like the news vans.
Cruise down the highway. We could each
cool.
we'd take 2-hour driving shifts, and the other two could play poker.
Well, it only takes like 3 hours to get there.
Well, I figured I'd be third. Maybe as an RV, we'll be happy to take it down to Igold. This article, and first of all, it's in Salon, which that pretty much tells you it's going to go
Everything
south.
you need to know, yeah.
But this is a work of art. This took some real thought.
I was kind of enjoying it myself.
I skim stuff, right? So I missed the part that we're talking about Republicans. And I'm going down and I'm going, yeah, that's true. But if you look at these points that this guy makes, he's a professor of something or other.
Psychologist.
Annoying something.
He's a psychologist.
Yeah. It says, Trump's Republican and conservative supporters share the following attributes. 1, they are more likely to be authoritarian and to embrace extreme right-wing ideologies. That's the epitome of liberalism. Not right-wing, but left-wing. But that is a definition of what... These are the people that go out and burn police cars, loot, rob. When they did the... what school was it here in Chicago where they let them go out to...
oh, right.
no. But you know
what was that called? About. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was some career academy.
Yeah, and they were to go out to honor the people who died.
It was the walkout.
Yeah.
The 17-minute walkout.
And they did walk out. They did. They walked out and went to the store across the street.
They went to Walmart and they went to some GameStop and some other places and
stole from them and trashed them.
Wreaked havoc. Yeah.
Yeah. So nothing says my heart goes out to you in Florida, but. Stealing stuff.
Looting, rioting, vandalizing.
And then they are racially resentful and hostile to non-whites. This is particularly toward African Americans. I pointed out when we were in a meeting with Fairman yesterday, because one of the ministers who was there, who was a very nice man, he wasn't being really like negative or anything, but he said there is this perception in the community that, you know, whites are hostile to him. And I said, you know, I find that interesting because in the last election, general election, who do they run? An angry old white man and an angry, crooked old white woman. Mm-hmm. And if you looked at the Republican ticket, it had more color than the Democrats have seen in the past 20 years.
Right.
And yet they keep tarring us with this, you know, racism thing.
It's just like, what do they call that? Old, I can't remember.
Stupid. I call it stupid. You know,
old
that's
stupid.
The technical term is old stupid.
Old saw, that's what I was trying to think of.
An old saw, yeah, or an old fiddle. They exhibit forms of toxic behavior associated with collective narcissism. That is liberalism. They're political bullies who engage in social dominance behavior against individuals and groups they view as others. They won't even let conservative speakers walk onto a campus.
Social dominance behavior. And they don't specify, like, what that is.
Well, no, you don't want to get specific because somebody might take...
Then it won't be true anymore.
Right, exactly. They hold sexist and misogynistic views.
Yes.
Look at how they've ripped conservative women up, Ann Coulter and people like that. Trump's most extreme enthusiastic supporters in the alt-right feature the dark triad of personality traits: narcissism, a propensity for violence, and Machiavellian longing to manipulate others.
Oh my gosh, that is the Democratic Party. Machiavellian longing to manipulate others. That's what they do. That's their charter.
I mean, this guy is. Do you see why when I read it?
Yeah.
I didn't see that part about it was us.
Right.
I'm going.
Exactly.
Yeah, this is tough. I get this. I get it.
Oh, I love this. They live in regions of the United States where people are more likely to be unhappy, miserable, and physically unwell. Where are they getting that?
That would be New York, Chicago, Los Angeles.
Yeah, exactly. That's like the two coasts.
Yeah, they're attracted.
Oh my! Oh, sorry. Keep going.
No, which one?
They seek simple answers to complex problems.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, that's us.
Yeah,
that's us.
They're attracted to Trump's threats of violence and his other antisocial behavior.
Quick to reject new and inconvenient information.
I just, this is so delusional. I mean, I just don't understand.
Extremely gullible and thus vulnerable to disinformation and other lies.
Remember, when reading that is interesting. When I read that one, I found that real interesting because remember what, what's his name, the political pundit,
Carville.
Remember what Carville said?
Oh, yeah.
He said when he decided he wanted to be an operative, a political operative, he was trying to decide if he wanted to work with the Republicans or the Democrats. And you remember what he said?
It's easier to work with the Democrats because they'll believe anything.
That's exactly what Carville said. Carville came out and admitted, I work for the Democrats because they're idiots. I'll tell them, they'll just believe anything I tell them. I mean, this guy, of course, it's a salon. I mean, that's exactly what they want.
I love this, though. As we continue to try to make sense of the 2016 presidential election and its aftermath, it's 2018. Get the hell over it. Oh, my gosh.
You're still finding people to blame.
I don't think I spent that much time lamenting Obama getting elected and reelected. I think if you put those two elections together, I haven't spent a year and a half like being sad about it.
They just have the most astounding audacity. I don't know how a guy can write something like this and turn it into anybody, other than the fact that it's Salon, and they just are really true trash. Salon may be the only publication worse than the Boston, whatever it was that I looked
the
at
Boston Times.
The Boston Times. That's a whole issue. Was that
only because Salon doesn't pretend to be anything other than what they are.
They don't. the Salon literally could be like The Onion, except they take themselves seriously.
Right, except they're as serious as a heart attack.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the Boston Times was trying to fool you into thinking that, you know.
I'm trying. The Boston Times did.
Okay, they fooled you. I'm not sure they fooled anyone else, but they tried to fool people into thinking that they're legitimate news. Only a few people fell for it, but
hook, line, and sinker. Yeah, hook, line,
fell
and sinker.
hard.
I was relating this story the other day to somebody, and I couldn't remember the second thing. The first one I recall below the fold that you don't see when you first put it up. It was actually the second story was movies in which the actors really did it. Okay, as soon as I saw that,
every time you say that, it makes
my self-worth and credibility curve went straight down. Yeah, all I had to do was just push that puppy up an inch, and I would have seen that. But there was a second story, and I can't remember what it was. It was equally insane. Wasn't it something about aliens or something?
Oh, I don't remember.
There was actually a second story, because films where actors really did it wasn't enough of an insult to me. They went all the way down to the core of despair. I think it was something about aliens and walking among us or something like that.
Clifford wants to know what train goes to Springfield. Is that Rock Island line?
Cliff Smith?
Clifford Brown.
Oh.
Does it matter?
Oh, no, I just wondered. Well, out of Joliet, you can pick it up at Union Station, but out of Joliet, it's the Lincoln Express, I think, or something like that, isn't it?
Isn't it Amtrak? Or?
Yeah.
It's Amtrak.
Yeah.
And it really is nice. I've taken that train. I really do like it. It's very comfortable.
Did they fix the bumps? Because I took it to...
Bumps are all gone.
I took it to Springfield a number of years ago, and it was bumpy.
Bumps are all gone. It's enough of them derailed and pulled the rails off. And I told you I was on that run to St. Louis, didn't I, that time?
Oh, yeah.
And somebody, did I ever tell you this?
No.
I was taking it to St. Louis. I have this nostalgia thing about trains, because when I was very, very young, before my mother died, my dad was a doctor, and my parents took me to San Francisco to go to a medical convention, which I was probably 7, 8 years old.
It was just a family trip. You didn't go to the medical convention.
They did medical experiments on me. But anyway.
Well, that would explain some things.
But it was wonderful, you know. I mean, we had a room, you know, and then white linen dinners and all that kind of stuff. And so I have this nostalgic thing. So I have to go to St. Louis. I'm going to speak at something. And I thought, you know, I can go from Joliet to St. Louis. It's perfect. I'm going to take the train. Well, I've told you the experiences I've had with trains. We're doing, you know, whatever, 158 miles an hour or something, and someone has stuck a steel rod into the train bed, the track bed, pointed upwards, so that when the train hit it, it impales the engine and takes the engine off the tracks. Now, we're in the middle of BFE, okay? And it's a steep embankment. You can't get out of the train because it's straight down either side. And, of course, the engine's dead. The power's off, and it's summer. The toilets fill. We're there for like 3-4 hours. The toilets fill. They run out of food. It's hot. I mean, so let's take the train. Eventually, your luck's got a hold. I don't know. Anyway, we probably...
Larry Andel says David likes trains because when you were a kid, cars weren't invented yet.
Do we have his address?
We could probably find it.
Yeah, that's a lie. That's not true. I was discussing that very thing with Orville while he was working on the airplane.
So someone wants to know if they show up at iGold, can they pack if they have a permit? And I know the answer is no.
No. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. 3 thumbs down for packing a gun at iGold. Yeah. And they do check, by the way. They have when you go through the door.
When you go into visit your legislators, you have to go through a metal detector.
Yeah. And they, I wonder if anyone will wear a holster to see if...
Oh, me, I will.
Oh, God, I don't know. You know, it's another week down the tubes. next week we won't have the music play twice, will we?
No.
No. All right. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to listen tonight, and we'd appreciate it if you tell your friends about On Target Radio.
We'd also like to thank our engineer, Eric Gallen, and our sponsors, the Will County chapter of the ISRA, Yellow Checker of Joliet, my editor, Creative Business Services, the Aurora Sportsman's Club, and Safer USA.
And finally, we hope that you'll listen next week when we'll be covering more red meat issues that affect your life.